What up, investors? What up, traders? Ken here from the Dyslexic Investor, and we're going to be looking at if adding BA stock is right for your portfolio and for your risk tolerance at these levels if you haven't started a position already. We're going to be talking about the potential hurdles that BA or Boeing has to overcome. We're going to be talking about looking at the chart and looking at resistance and support trends there, and they're going to be looking at my overall conclusion on what we're doing from the portfolio standpoint and looking forth on potentially adding or taking BA out of the mix. All right, so I wanted to highlight this wonderful article from Investors Business Daily. Love those guys. Great work over there. So they're basically saying that BA is seeking about nearly 60 billion. Okay, that's a B. It's a B with a B. Billion with a B. Yeah, B. Anyways, so again, if you're not familiar with what Boeing BA stock does, it's basically an aerospace industry. They do everything from manufacturing planes to other various components within the aerospace industry. That being said, there's only one other character, one other person in this game that creates and manufactures planes at their standards. I'm sorry, that's actually a horrible word to say, not standards. Basically, on one other person, which is Airbus, is the only other company that is basically flying the skies. You're basically going to be flying in a 737, or you're going to fly in an A whatever it is Airbus main streamliner. So there's basically just those two guys, the two manufacturers. Just imagining just having Ford and Chevys on the road. That's basically, this is what the aerospace or the plane business looks like. And because of that, they are such a key component to the economy. It's like you have to fly if you're going most places now, and there's only two other people that can do it. So with the onslaught of just the issues after issues, starting out with the 737 MAX that had the two fatal crashes, it seems such a long time ago now, it's just recently, that it's just literally have impacted them, and then they just get bad news after bad news, and then COVID-19 hits. So basically, that being said, they are having a heck of a field day over there at BA. So basically, the CEO has run the company extremely terrible, basically misinforming investors, looking at not putting the proper safety precautions in, aka the Max 8, to be field tested and properly trained for the pilots to be able to fly it and use it. And then with the combination of just the way the company's cash has been handled. So currently they had to suspend the dividend to be able to manage and preserve capital as much as possible. Also, this article they're saying that Bloomberg sources say that the aerospace giant is likely to focus on investment-grade debt markets. You saw this a lot with what Disney did this. Disney created went to the markets and got really cheap debt at these levels because it's a very prestigious brand, and the same thing is with BA. But the thing is, BA at the helm have an onslaught of issues, and then reportedly, the new CEO that stepped in is saying that it's gonna take years before they even see the stock prices that they saw just a couple months ago. Maybe a couple weeks ago, really. So let's go ahead and jump into the chart we're going to look at here. Currently, we're looking at a daily chart of BA. And this thing, as you can see, this is a daily chart. So this was basically, this was April of last year. It hit a high of almost $400. Traded sideways for quite some time, so basically between 400 and like the 336 level for most of the year. But then, of course, when COVID-19 hit, even with the onslaught of beginning of this year, the end of 19 into 2020 was when the CEO got resigned. The CEO had basically was trying to get a severance package of like a ridiculous amount of millions of dollars. didn't get it because he just literally nearly bankrupted the company. Actually, in fact, kind of did. It kind of got a pop off when they finally got through that, but then the COVID-19 hit, and it just been straight downhill. Basically, going from 350. So let's do the quick little analysis down to $89. All right, so that's a 75% discount, 75% drop in stock price from where it was, and if you're looking on a daily chart, it's been having a heck of a hard time trying to pop above and stay really above afloat of the 200 moving average here. That's the teal dotted line right here. And then you can see it just failed, and then it just came crashing down, and everything again. This is like a straight slide to hell. With that entail, we hit the low of 89. You see a couple candles trading sideways, and this is when you're seeing a lot of the Senate and the House, and a lot of people start saying things about a potential bailout. They're going to be getting a pretty nice paycheck. They're not going to be able to do buybacks and different other various things, but they just want to save the company and put their workers back to work and fix the Max 8 stabilization computers. So right now, this is I think the easy money has already been made. Again, this is you see my little alert here is at 187. I think at 187 we have to relook at the scenario on potentially trading sideways or potentially going down maybe $20-$30, or we can just fly through this. I just think the easy money has already been placed. The folks down here, which I purchased in around $100. So one of these days I purchased it for like $100 exactly. I just had a couple shares. I had some capital available, and I bought a handful of shares at $100, putting a very small starter position out on this because, again, I don't know where it's going to go. Like, if this goes bankrupt, it goes to zero, right? And the government has to do a complete recalculating of the assets, reassessing all the assets to different buyers. It's just not going to be a fun, horrible time. That being said, I didn't even know. Like, I had it on such tight lease. I said if it broke like 85 or something like that, I was going to get out. And I think after hours it got down to 85 at one point, but during trading hours it only got down to 89. And I was a little bit fearful because I was like, that's just going to go straight down to zero. Sadly, it has been paid off a lot. It's basically up to $80 from where I bought it, so it's nearly a complete 100% return on capital. Again, but this is a starter position. I might sell half when it breaks the 187 and just going to see if it's able to come back down, because I want to hold this long term, but I think after listening to the CEO and other various things, it's going to be taking quite some time before it gets up to 350 again. And there's just so many other things that I'm interested in on buying and looking at and adding capital to there. But we'll see. I honestly reallocate things all the time and looking at what triggers are set and so forth. So let's dive into the chart just a little bit more. Again, looking still on the daily chart, you see that this oversold. Again, on the daily chart, if something comes falling down so fast, I mean, like, this is unreal fast. You're going to get a lot of negative prints on the oversold, and a lot of people thinking it's the bottom, but it's really not. That's why you're seeing these huge gaps in between closes, gaps. The huge gap here is usually, and it's usually a line right when that yellow line or the teal line down here triggers. So you can kind of see here the last gap here, it just kind of slowly came off, and it was just completely oversold. But once we go to a weekly side of the house, you basically see, you get a little bit more an equal look at what's happening here. So once it touches the first time, you potentially have to wait a little bit, and then you can get that fill. I think it's even touched on a monthly chart. So let's go ahead and go to a monthly chart. No, it hasn't yet. But the thing is, on the monthly chart, the squeeze fired lower. Again, with the RSI continue going south, same with the momentum. It was just a time to see if it was a potential for a swing trade and a potential quick trade for me, and it has been turning out fairly well because it even didn't close below it, but it broke its 200 on the monthly chart, which is quite crazy. Because you can even see it 0809, it basically traded a little bit below its 200, but it closed below it, this has been a much slower sell-off here. But this has just been a monster here, taking out these lows here. And I want to kind of emphasize on how crazy these moves have been on this is on a weekly chart, breaking out of the 3 deviation channel. And we usually talk about this too sometimes regarding once it breaks out of the third channel here, which is the red dotted line, it usually has to snap back. But there's just so much bad news tied to BA, and a lot of people just trying to stay away from it. It was just a kind of a ripe opportunity. Like, I'm kind of a contrarian at heart, so basically I just want to buy something that someone just doesn't want or just finds ugly. I kind of find the silver lining here. That being said, I'm super interested on what everyone else thinks about BA. Were they able to get fairly discounted prices and buy in at the low around $100? Are you still waiting on sitting on your hands waiting to pull the trigger? Are you not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole? I don't know. I'm very curious on what you other investors and traders out there are doing with this particular stock, and I would greatly appreciate any insight or suggestions in the comments section below. Again, this is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.